Hello ladies and gentlemen, last week I told you that we are in the job of actually producing myelin for you and actually getting your brains to produce this stuff called myelin that enhances all the connections between things that you've learned in your brain. And what I'm going to do over the next few weeks and months is I'm going to give you some more secrets into how to improve how you can make more myelin. And most of those will be based around stories. And I'm going to express it today with an actual example. And as most of you know, I have a love of the beautiful game, and here you can see some of the great players of this beautiful game is football. And as we look upon football, the footballing world, we see some of the greats of the games here. However, you can't talk about modern football without mentioning Brazil. Right, the World Cup this year, we didn't do very well in it, I know. But the country itself, Brazil, there was a great big excitement about going there because they have been known for years and years to be the greatest footballing nation on the earth. However, that hasn't always been the case, and I'm going to explain that to you in a minute. Now, you can't talk about football without talking about Brazil. They've won the World Cup more times than anybody else, 5 times. In fact, 900 talents from Brazil were signed up by great European clubs this year. So, you know, people like Neymar and other people have come over to Europe because they're renowned for being the best. And you'll be able to recognise some of these people. Pelé is obviously the person who we most look up to in 1958 as a 17-year-old. And Zico and Ronaldo, and of course you'll recognise Neymar there. Now, many of the world's greatest footballers have come from Brazil. And most people believe that it's because Brazil, for some reason, they have the talent there. It must be in the gene pool. They're the ones who actually produce it all, and that seems to be true because they have the right climate. It's very warm. They all love football. You know, we know that from the World Cup this year, and of course there's a lot of poverty in Brazil. So lots of people want to escape from poverty by doing football. However, as I said to you before, Brazil hasn't always been this great footballing nation. In the 1940s and 50s, they, with the same genes, you know, the same Brazilian genes and the same environment, very much poor and things like that, they didn't win anything. The footballing great nation didn't exist. It wasn't until 1958 that we really start to see this great footballing nation and the great footballing side, of course, with the young 17-year-old Pelé, as some of your teachers will remember him. Now, the question is then, how did they produce so many great players? Well, I'm actually going to tell you that it's because of their training. They're able to improve their ball handling skills and work and train faster than anywhere in the world because of something that they've done. They have a program that creates the myelin for the footballers and promotes it by offering them the opportunity to do deep practice. So they practice not only on a surface level but really deeply. In 1987, an Englishman called Simon Clifford went over to Brazil, and he was very ill at the time, to actually see what their secret was. He studied the Brazilian footballers and saw a strange game that was played by the very young people in Brazil, and it was called Futebol de Salão. And I'm very sorry if Mr. Da Costa's listening to this because it's in Portuguese and it actually means soccer in the room, so I hope he doesn't take the mickey out of my accent too much. Now today it's called futsal, and it's much more common today and people know it a lot better. And futsal was invented in the 1930s, and it's played with a smaller, heavier football on a much smaller pitch. And it's often played by young children at the ages between 7 and 12. In fact, this famous footballer here who came to this country, his name is Juninho, didn't kick a full-size football until he was 14 years old. Now imagine that, a lot of you boys and girls in your footballing club. A futsal player touches the ball much more often. And because it's a heavier ball, it requires much more precise handling. The passing is so important, it's paramount, and teamwork on a smaller pitch is vital. And because they play that for such a young age and for so long, they have better skills. The myelin in their brain has been produced because they fire those circuits a lot more often. And this is why Brazil have won so many things. It's not because of the genes or because of the environment, it's because of this game, futsal. So much so that this Clifford, Simon Clifford brought the game back to England, and he initially took it out and people were like, oh, that won't work, not in this country, won't be able to do that, because he took it up to Yorkshire. But eventually, he's actually had such success with it that here is a player, Maker Richards, that's actually played for England. And he did it through Simon Clifford's footballing schools. So, for the futsal, actually produces much more myelin because you have to do all those things in very intricate circles. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get good at football, then start badgering Mr. Duffy and Mr. Broughton. Let's play some futsal, please, sir. Let's see if we can actually do that and see how much it challenges you, because that extra deep gameplay will actually make you a better footballer. But the key thing I want you to learn, and we're going to look at this in a lot more detail next week, deep practice, ladies and gentlemen. It is the key to producing myelin.